and the internet. My name is Sean Quadlin, and I would like to welcome you to our webinar today, presented by Clicks Marketing and Hannafin Marketing. And the title is How to Win at Social PPC, Facebook Edition. We brought a colon in there, so that's how you know we mean business. All right. So today, our presenters are going to be John Lee, who is a managing partner at Clicks Marketing. He is a PPC display and social advertising professional. He's written for Search Engine Watch, ClickZ, a Quizio blog, Clicks Marketing blog, PPC Hero. So he's coming back to the roots today, and the WordStream blog. And he also speaks on this stuff all the time, including at Hannafin's own HeroConf this year. John, welcome. How you doing?
Sean, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, and it's good to be working with the Hannafin folks here.
Yeah, totally agree. It's really great. We're Bloomington to Bloomington. I'm very happy to be a part of it. And then just to introduce myself, my name is Sean, like I said. If you logged into the webinar super early, you could have seen an incorrect photo and an incorrect name. So I hope you're not disappointed that the picture of Eric Couch with the name of Carrie Albright is not speaking. It is just me, Sean Quadlin. This is my photo. I'm a senior account manager at Hannafin. I do accounts in Facebook, AdWords, Bing Ads, and then I write about this stuff at PPC Hero, and then also at FB PPC, which is something that PPC Associates started a while back, and it's pretty cool. So I'm happy to contribute there. So John and I are clearly kind of Facebook nerds, and we talk about this stuff. But you guys can prove your nerddom by tweeting us at the ThinkPPC hashtag whenever we host a webinar on any of our different topics. Even when they don't have a colon, we're still going to have this hashtag. So tweet about this stuff out there. Or you can also use the webinar question box if you have any questions. And so here's some of the stuff we're going to cover today. We're talking about 6 different things. I think, yeah, 6 bullet points. I didn't want to give you guys the incorrect number of bullets. But John and I are basically going to trade off, talk about some different stuff, and just have a conversation about Facebook. We're going to talk about personas, audiences, ad types, ad creative, making sure you have the right stuff to connect with people, reporting in Facebook, and then also the Power Editor. So it's kind of a top-level overview, and then in between, hopefully we'll have some good nuggets that you will find delightful. We're going to start this thing by having a live poll question. So just to get a sense of our audience and how familiar you guys are with this stuff. So just how long have you been PPC? So here are the ranges. Please give us a chance just so we can kind of get a gauge of how things are going. And John, how long have you been in PPC?
You know, I'm in year 7, so I've been doing this what seems like a very long time. What about you, Sean?
I am in category B of 1 to 3 years. I actually just got my 2-year performance review that I have to fill out soon. So I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary. And so I think, yeah, I love a good performance review. It's always a blast. So 7 years is definitely an old timer. And look at that. I have so many buddies. Look at all these buddies. 1 to 3 years, 46% of you guys. And then you guys, number 2, John. So we're representing the first and second largest groups out here. And welcome to all those less than 1 year folks, 20%. And then 3 to 5, you guys can feel special, 11%. And then I think, oh, I got the warning beep. I did something wrong, guys.
Forward, Sean, not backwards.
There we go. We have another poll question. I'm sorry about that. So this is just, again, we're trying to get a sense of the audience. So how do you manage your accounts? Either manage it yourself, you're part of a team that manages it, outsource it, or rethinking how your account is managed. And so, John, since you work for a company called Clicks Marketing, I can guess how you manage your accounts, but could you just give us a quick rundown?
Sure. I mean, we're an agency, much like Hannafin Marketing is, and you're managing everything from Google AdWords, Bing Ads, to, again, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and various display platforms for our clients. We do some of that for ourselves, right? But much less than what we do for our clients, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm the same way. Definitely part of a team. Some of the smaller accounts I do all by my lonesome, and so it's nice. It's like having your own car in the Pinewood Derby. And so we have people that are either part of a team or that manage it themselves. And so I think we are talking to the right people. They're kind of representative of who we are, or maybe who we used to be. So from there, we can actually get started on the topic. And so just as a brief overview, why is Facebook important? There are a million different things that we could say. I am personally obsessed with television, and so I saw this statistic, and I was like, oh, wow, that's a good reason to justify advertising on Facebook. But this is the number of people who watch TV because they heard about somebody else's opinion online. And so Facebook's just blowing the other competition out of the water. And I do have a personal anecdote. I saw a status update from one of my friends in college about The West Wing, and he's like, "Uh-oh, the West Wing just came to Netflix. I'm not gonna have any free time." And I was like, "Oh, The West Wing, I've never watched that." And then I never had any free time, but now I have so many new television friends. What do you think, John? Do you have any? I guess, do we need to try to convince people of the importance of Facebook, or is it just it's Facebook? It's like saying oxygen nowadays.
Well, I don't think it's quite oxygen. I think maybe it's another element in the air that we're breathing for sure. But it's definitely becoming, a bigger and bigger portion of the online marketing space. And so to ignore it is a very bad thing. And so again, we all have to pay attention and again, understand these types of stats where, yeah, this is television, but how is it informing purchase decisions? How is it informing how you find a new vendor for a particular service? So it's a very big deal.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. So well said. Not quite to oxygen levels, but someday we're gonna get there someday with Facebook. All right, and so is this your slide or my slide, John? I'm having a brain fart right now.
This is you, Sean.
This is me. I got one slide, then I know it's going to you. All right, so advertisers, something good for them. Why we like it so much, it's extremely specific targeting. You can get a lot cheaper CPCs than other display networks. I know that depending on how you're using the system, you can get stuff super cheap. There's no minimum spend. I know some display networks, they have a high bar to clear if you want to experiment on the platform, but not so with Facebook. You can set this stuff up with a credit card and start advertising whatever weird product you have almost instantaneously. And then there's just so much inventory available. People are on Facebook all the time, and they're always, it's so specific. So there's a lot of reasons to be on there. So now I'm going to kick it over to you. I know that this one's yours, John. So I'm going to take a step back.
Yes, it is. All right. So again, we're talking about Facebook, and we have to start from square one, right? So we have to understand how we're going to target people on Facebook. And so to do that, we need to understand personas. And so, I'll start off just the definition, right? So personas are technically fictional characters that you create in the course of your marketing plan that represent the different user types, whether they be demographics, their attitudes, their behaviors as it pertains to your service, your product, right? So again, understanding who is very, very important for how to target. So again, why is that important for Facebook specifically? Well, Facebook isn't built on keywords like traditional Google search or Bing search is. So instead, you have to look at what are interests of your potential customers and their demographics, right? So again, those two, among other things that we'll talk about, but those two are the big smoking guns, if you will, for targeting on Facebook. And so doing the persona exercise first is going to allow you to understand how to target all of those potential leads, potential customers on Facebook. So how do we get started? Well, again, you can start simple, right? Do some quick brainstorming on your own of, again, who do I want to target? You can do a little more empirical study, right, and look at your current customer base. So take that and say, okay, who has already purchased from me, or who is already a lead or a customer, and say, okay, what can I extrapolate from that information to understand who we're talking to? But you can also brainstorm and make a wish list, right? I would love to be able to target or get customers in this particular demographic segment. So a couple of quick examples. One is, so let's say your product is a small business CRM software solution. So some obvious targets would be small business owners, marketing managers or marketing directors, sales managers and sales directors, right? So get some obvious top-level idea generation that we can take and start to segment down. Another example is somebody who specializes in selling vacation packages to Disney World, right? So the end destination is Disney World, so you're skewing towards kids for the most part. So you actually want to target the parents, right? They're the ones with the money. But perhaps there's some adults out there that are some Disney aficionados, if you will. So again,
how do you think they earn that designation? What would someone have to do to become an aficionado of Disney, John? I'm just curious.
Well, I actually know a couple of people that they're a little more niche in their aficionado-ness, if you will. So people that just absolutely love like Winnie the Pooh. So they've got tons of Winnie the Pooh stuff, your stuffed animals. Again, we're talking about adults too. So I mean, maybe there's some therapy that may need to happen there, but regardless, it can happen. Those people exist. So. Moving on. So again, we've got this top-level brainstorming, and so now we need to start adding layers, right? So again, Shrek, he's like an onion. He's got many layers. I love that joke. And again, the irony is not lost on me that I'm talking about Disney, and I have a picture of Shrek, who is not Disney, and in fact makes fun of Disney. But anyways, moving on. So we've got this idea. So we've got a Disney World travel specialist. Again, yes, we want to target parents, people who just absolutely love Disney and want to enjoy the full experience. Well, what else do we need to know about these people to be able to target them? So financial status is a big one, right? Can they actually purchase today? Or is this somebody who's going to be doing research for a potential vacation next year that they have to save up for? So again, that's a big differentiator there. Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Are these people repeat visitors? Have they already been to Disney World? And we have to convince them, hey, a second trip is worth your time and your money. But then, again, what are the age groups that you want to target? People that are most likely to come. Again, what's the gender? Maybe it's females that are more of the decision maker when it comes to a family vacation. I don't know that. Just again, as an example. And location. So again, there's also Disneyland in California, right? So maybe for Disney World, we're more focused on the eastern seaboard, right, of the United States, even into Canada, and that's really where we want to focus our targeting. But then beyond that, what do these people like? What are they interested in? So, again, if you're a parent, you're interested in everything parenting, right? I can't tell you how many books I've read on parenting, articles that I read. But again, it's a big deal to me. I want to be the best parent possible. But children's activities, mom stuff, dad stuff, people who are just interested in travel as a whole. Maybe then start to look at, okay, people who are interested in children's movies, specific Disney characters, other theme parks, or maybe they're a big fan of Kings Island in Cincinnati, or I can't even think of some of the other ones, but Cedar Point, right? The roller coaster capital of the world, right? So people who are fans of other theme parks, maybe they would also be interested in Disney. But then look at parenting publications, financial publications, travel publications, other leisure activities. So again, that list can keep going and going and going. But again, that's the line of thinking that you need to follow. So then the task ahead of you is actually putting these together into some sort of documentation for you, for your team. Maybe you have decision makers over your head even that you need to prove all this stuff out to. So start to build this out. I use Excel. I just make myself a nice, neat spreadsheet so there's neat and orderly columns and rows. Everything's nice and simple to read. But start to put this together and bundle by age, bundle by gender, location, the interest that you've come up with, and give these personas a name or at least a label. I don't know how many of you understand or have read about your typical marketing persona exercises, and that can go really deep, right? We're talking, this is Jan from Portland, Oregon, tree-hugging hippie who loves my organic food. I mean, you can get that deep if you want to, but sometimes just giving them a label is enough to at least get you started. But then take it a step further. So you've got the persona, you understand who they are, a lot of things about them. Go ahead and start to write out some ad copy messages that are appropriate specifically to them, right? So we're talking about somebody who can afford to purchase their trip today, they love Disney, and they've got kids and they want to travel today. So bring your kids to Disney World, this August, right, or this September while there's still time. Book today, right? Versus somebody who doesn't have the money doing the research, the message is going to be completely different. So start to plan that out and associate it directly with your persona. Same thing with your landing pages. So go ahead and plot out what is the message that's going to correlate from the user on Facebook to the ad that they see and the landing page that you're going to get them to convert on. That slide in there twice?
Oh,
looks like.
I guess it is. Surprise!
I'm not saying I'll hit again. So the last thing here is, so we've got the personas, right? We understand our messaging both for the ads themselves as well as the landing page. So marry that data together. And by that I mean your persona exercise, right? Whatever you've plotted out pretty much dictates the campaign structure that you're going to build in Facebook. And so that's the beauty of this, right? And that's why we started here, is whatever you do with your personas translates directly into campaign structure and the types of ads that you're going to write and upload. So again, create your campaigns. There may be some overlap there. That's okay. Long term, you're going to test and test and test again and see which of those different campaigns, those personas actually work for you. And so you'll start to weed out the shape, if you will.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense, John. I think it's really important to start there. That just conceptually to be able to know who you're trying to talk to when you're creating all these ads and all this targeting. And so I have a favor to ask you. I don't know
Uh-oh.
how you'll feel about it. You mentioned that you have a friend who is a Disney aficionado, and you
That's right.
mentioned that we should take this person and try to give them a name. Can we use that friend's name as our persona as an example as we go through this webinar?
I can give you a fake one.
Oh, you're giving a fake one. You can't even. We could just use. Just give me a name. Act like it's real, John. Just pretend like it's with that your friendship's
let's,
on the line.
let's right. Let's call her Dana Disney Lover. Right.
Dana
That'll
Disney Lover.
yeah.
So that's how we're
That's the
starting,
persona name.
guys. That's great. Dana. All right, so we're going to talk about audiences now. And so John has all these great ideas about how you should approach Facebook conceptually and why you should think about this stuff beforehand so you can know how to target. And so now this is a little bit of the nitty-gritty type stuff that you can actually use to target. So for our example, let's say that we want to talk to Dana. We want to try to get her to come to Disneyland. And so there are going to be 6 different ways, and even more. This is just 6 that we're talking about right now. Facebook has kind of a crazy high number of different ways to target people. But these are the ones that I think of first when they come to me. And so the first one is precise interests. And so for this example here, it's clearly somebody who's looking for some sort of internet-related superhero, such as PPC hero, clearly. But if we're trying to connect with Dana, this is where all that brainstorming about what people are interested in comes back to play. So John was talking about people, like fathers who are posting stuff about how to be a good parent or anything like that. So we could look for somebody who maybe has liked dad stuff. You put that in your list, John, and I was actually
Mm-hmm.
curious. Have you ever liked anything that just says like dad stuff? Would that be a specific precise interest for you?
I was no, I was purposefully ambiguous there, but it would play me if it existed. If it does, that's awesome.
I would. I agree. I'm guessing that there is a dad stuff precise interest. So, I come from the AdWords kind of side of the world, and so I always think about things as keywords. And in Facebook, you're gonna have these precise interests, and so it's something like people, anything that they've liked or engaged with on, at some point in their giant Facebook lives. And then they also have that little hashtag at the front, and so that really broadens it. So right there in this example, we have internet, and so that means anything that Facebook thinks is involved with the internet. So that's going to grow your audience size. And so I think of that like a broad match type. If you don't have the hashtag, so like superhero, if that didn't have a hashtag, that audience size is going to dip from 9.8 million down to whatever it is. It didn't fit in this screenshot. But that's the first way to start it out. So if we're looking for Dana Disney Lover, we can look for stuff like Disney World, Disneyland, and then we can add hashtag Disneyland, stuff like that, to try and get it a little bit more specific about things that she likes on her page. In addition to that, there are broad categories, and this is something that I personally don't endorse. I don't know how you feel about them, John. I think I'll circle back at the end. So there might be a counterpoint coming, guys. But Facebook has put together a lot of different categories. They're different, what type of phone they have, their interests and activities. Like, it sounds like it should be good stuff. I'm just not satisfied with them. I guess maybe it depends on who you're advertising for, what product you're offering. But a lot of this stuff I just don't think is relevant depending on what the advertiser is. So like if we're talking about Dana Disneyland, I don't know how many children Dana has. Let's ask, how many children does Dana have, John? You know this woman personally. This is her real legal name. Do you know, John, how many kids she has?
Oh, she actually has none. So that's why this one was a bit out there, and I recommended therapy.
So we can find that later. That'll be for another client that offers therapeutic services. So we wouldn't be
Absolutely.
targeting exactly, and we wouldn't be targeting parents in Dana's case. And so I think the categories are just too broad for my sake. For my case, I don't encourage them. And do you have a second opinion on that, John? How do you feel about broad categories?
Right. So again, if you're coming into this as a direct marketer and conversions are what matters most to you, then I would say, okay, these broad categories, maybe do some light testing with capped budgets, but again, it's a very broad strokes and potentially volatile in terms of the number of impressions, the number of clicks that may come through that just aren't going to turn into customers or leads. That being said, if you are using Facebook as more of a branding exercise, and there are those advertisers out there, in this case, okay, it's fine to paint in broad strokes because you're really trying to get, again, right, brand recognition, reinforcing your brand, much like you could do with display, with wide open targets, running banners across tons and tons of different websites. So again, in that case, okay, but for direct marketers, tread lightly, as they say on Breaking Bad.
They do say that. Spoiler alert. Nah, that's not a spoiler. That's just a phrase. It's not a spoiler. And so I know that my brain has been permanently wired as a direct marketer, so that's why I steer clear. But like you said, there are different cases where you could find them useful. So a couple other ones are just connections and friends of connections. And so here's a deal where, I don't know if you guys have heard of that movie that came out called The Social Network, but it's about how Facebook connects people. So you can actually leverage connections, and if people have liked your page, if you already have a strong fan engagement, you can try to just branch out to people that you know are buddies with, or maybe coworkers. They met someone once, and that person was a little overzealous in their friend request. But in any case, that person is now connected forever, and you can target based off of that. And then you can also target people whose friends are connected to your page. So that's a good one, especially if you already have a really strong presence on Facebook. This can just make it that much better, kind of leverage that. And then something that are pretty cool, like, again, this has really specific use cases, so this will depend on what you're looking for. But you can look for people who are in college, and you can even target their graduation years. You can target what school, what field of study, and you can target where they're working. I know I'm a personal fan of Mother Bears in Bloomington, Indiana. I think it's some of the best pizza that I've ever had. And I used to live in the Chicagoland area, so I feel like I have earned the right to say that. And so if maybe I'm like, hey, who wants to be my friends in Bloomington? I could target people who work at Mother Bears because I know that they're going to be my type of people. And so that's just another level of audiences that you can also create. And all this stuff is just available in the main AdWords workflow. So when you're creating an ad in there, this is where it's going to pop up. But then there's this whole other secondary area of Facebook that people may not know about. Like if you're just creating ads right there in the interface, you may be like surprised to hear about this stuff. And I know the first time I heard about this, I was like, what, are you kidding me? So now it's just part of my life. And hopefully, if this is new to you guys, you can say, what are you kidding me? And then it'll become part of your life. So this is in the Power Editor. And it's kind of weird to me that Facebook doesn't have all their targeting options available in the main place where you do stuff. But whatever, we're not here to critique Facebook. We're here to make it better, guys. And so John is going to talk about the Power Editor at the end of this, but just get excited because this type of stuff and more is all available in there. And so there are 4 different targeting groups within it. And just to go through those, there are custom audiences. And so this is a really cool option to actually upload people from your own information. So you could have somebody in emails, their user ID on Facebook, which I imagine would be weird to use. I've never actually used that. And then phone numbers. So just upload a whole list of stuff depending on what information you have of people. And then Facebook is going to sync that up with who they can find on Facebook. Like you just put in a list of emails, it finds a list of users connected with that. And then it also has a lot of privacy stuff built into there. They don't actually keep the email addresses. You can read the privacy policy if you're curious, but you can then create a list of people that you already know, you have their lead information, and then target them on Facebook. And then what I think is really cool is going that next step and actually creating lookalike audiences. So this starts with a custom audience. You need to have a list of usernames. And then Facebook recommends 500. They say 500 is the bare minimum. This is a secret here. I've actually uploaded like 400, John. I don't know if you've had any success with that. 500 is not a hard and fast rule, guys. Sometimes you can sneak by it. And what that does is it takes your custom audience and then it finds other people with similar enough attributes. And so I don't have a lot of visibility into what they do for that. You just kind of have to trust the system and then test, like we always say, try something out, test, see if it works. And lookalikes are something that we've tried out, tested, and they've worked consistently. So they're really cool. And you can take something like take the very handsome Danny DeVito and then, someone close enough, kind of the dumpy-looking Arnold Schwarzenegger, but it's somebody that might be interested in you because, like, if you're selling a bunch of white suits and then button-up short-sleeve shirts, then these are your audience. These are the people you want to be talking to. So lookalikes are really cool.
I gotta say that the twins reference is classy. I love it.
I agree. That was Megan. Megan threw that one in there for me, so she is helping a brother out. Thank you, Megan. Webinar maven, if you will. And then all this different stuff that we're talking about, all the demographics and everything, all these custom audiences, you can actually do a saved target group within the editor. And so these are really great. You just create an audience. It's right where you do the custom audience. And then just do save target group, and you have 2 different options. It's either audience or advanced options. It's the same stuff you see on every ad, but this will just save you a load of time moving forward because you can, create your persona. We know Dana Disneyland is in this target age group. We know that she has these specific interests, and then you can just add that person and basically throw an ad creative at that specific person. So I think this really cycles back well with the personas that John created earlier because you can even name them if you want to go that extra route and you want to talk specifically to that hippie in Portland, right? It was Portland.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just name that, and that person can be on your ads in just a simple click once you get all your target.
Right, and the beauty of that, take it one step further is, again, when you're building out Facebook campaigns, I'm sure a lot of you have done this already, going back through and re-entering all of the interests, all of the, the demographic, the location data, it's very, very tedious and very, very time-consuming. So the saved target groups can really, really speed up your management processes as you duplicate campaigns, or again, you want to try something out, but point at the same target group. It's a really big time saver.
Yeah, and you said tedious. I would use the adjective brutal. I feel it's like dehumanizing if you want to keep building that stuff again and again. So safe target groups can be a lifesaver. Bazing, pun intended, internet. And then last, targeting for our audiences that we're talking about in the Power Editor are partner categories. So Facebook has gone through and they've partnered with 3 different big data companies, Axiom, Data Logics, and then Epsilon. I feel like Epsilon's probably missing out. They're like, oh, we don't have an X in our name. We're not part of the club. So these 3 companies have gone through and they've combined offsite data and then put it together with Facebook. So it's really specific. You can see just Axiom. This is just top-level stuff: demographics, financials, job role, purchase. And so when John was talking earlier about if this person has buying power, and then vehicles, and each 3 of these have just a ton of categories. We have a list on PPC Hero if you're so curious. But again, these get really specific, so it's nice because it's big audience sizes, and they keep growing. They keep adding more information to that. And I think it's so much better than broad categories. So if you do want to have a broader reach, I would definitely recommend partner categories over broad. And so those are all the audiences and the ways that you can target the different personas that you've created. Anything to add, John, before we move on to our next poll question? Which must be
I
exciting.
don't believe so. Yeah, let's move it on.
Yeah, so get excited, guys. We have another poll, and this is actually a prelude to what John's going to talk about next. So what type of ads do you use most often? Or if you're new to Facebook, which types are you most excited to start out with? You want to learn more about? So I guess, John, I'll start with you. What are of these 5 different types, or 4 different types, plus the catch-all, anything and everything, what is your favorite type of Facebook ad?
Well, in terms of, again, being a direct marketer, and I'll explain this later, the typical quote-unquote ads that are targeted to the right-hand column there on Facebook, because that's really the only format that goes directly to your landing page or website. That's my weapon of choice. But the other ones definitely have their place in a much more holistic marketing effort on Facebook, and so we'll dive into those specifics here in a bit.
Yeah, I love the use of the word holistic. I'm on board with that. And so sponsored stories, I think, I guess just to give an argument for them, is that their click-through rate is so much higher. So I really like sponsored stories and unpublished page posts. I think those are really cool because you can still get that link to your external site. But again, it's not direct response like you were saying, John. So Megan is showing us the results, and it backs up what you were saying. So ads are the big winner, and sponsored stories are second. Mobile and video coming in a respectable last place. And then anything and everything for all of our people that are interested in anything and everything. I like it. They got an open mind for us.
All right, so let's talk about some Facebook ad types, and again, we'll get a little bit granular here, but bear with us. So again, it's worth noting, as we just alluded to, that again there are multiple types of ads. Again, that's what makes Facebook as an Apple platform so exciting, is there's lots of variety, right? Lots of different things to test and try and see what works. Again, we can generate traffic on Facebook, generate traffic off Facebook. Again, that's what I was talking about, right? Going to your landing page, your website. And again, we can target desktops, we can target mobile devices. But it's important to note that a large percentage of the ad types, and I would say the majority of the ad types, are really emphasizing and reinforcing what you're doing on the organic side, right? So the page that you've built for your company, the posts that you're pushing through your page for your company, and again, your followers, right? All of these different things that are on the organic side, we can use Facebook ads to reinforce and build up. That's not to say that you can't use them to get customers to generate leads, etc. But it's really reinforcing what's on the organic side. All right, so again, we're going to start off with ads. And as many of you probably know, that's the most ridiculous name for this segment because it's so generic, right? It doesn't exactly explain what they are, but it's Facebook. They make a lot of money. They can do whatever they want. So types of quote-unquote ads we have for a website. And so, again, that's the big one for us direct marketers because, again, we put in our website, our landing page, and to take people from Facebook off of Facebook to hopefully convert into a lead or a customer. However, they're limited, right? They're only in the right-hand column placement, and they're only on desktops. So you can't actually target mobile devices with that format, at least yet. Maybe that's coming in the future. I don't know that, but that's what it is for now. But where things really start to get interesting is when we start to talk about, okay, well, what can I do with my Facebook page, the posts that I'm publishing. Maybe I've got an app that people can download, well, not really download, but add to Facebook and play, like Candy Crush, right? Or events, right? So again, today's webinar, so it was saved as a Facebook event, and hopefully people can find it that way. Again, we can run ads against it. So again, here we get right-hand column as well as news feed, and so that's where things really get fun, because news feed ads, again, I don't know how many of you experiment with those, definitely get a much higher click-through rate. There's like this band of people out there that, a chorus, if you will, that don't like that it spams their Facebook feed, and I think that argument has some validity, but for us as marketers, it's this wonderful new opportunity to get in front of our target audience. And then beyond that, this is also where the remarketing piece comes in. So Facebook remarketing is, strangely enough, completely outside of the Facebook ecosystem. So it's managed through third-party platforms like AdRoll, Perfect Audience, just about any of the third-party display platforms, the DSPs, are providing some form of Facebook remarketing. Heck, Quantcast, right, one of the big data companies, they have a Facebook remarketing platform now. So anyways, it's all managed outside of that, but those ads now are coming in primarily on the right-hand column placement, but this is where you might be able to sneak in some, again, direct marketing links back to your website, back to your landing page, into the newsfeed column through Facebook remarketing. So food for thought.
Direct marketing. I always love when to hear that. Huzzah!
Huzzah! All right, so now let's talk about sponsored stories. And so, again, sponsored stories are pretty much self-explanatory. When somebody, any Facebook user, chooses to like a page or comment on a post, join an event, download an app, pretty much all of these primary events that can happen on Facebook, you as an advertiser can advertise against it and say, okay, I want to sponsor that particular action. So again, somebody likes your page, sponsor a story about page likes, and again, those people's friends, friends of friends, etc. All those different targeting options that Sean talked about a minute ago, you can target against those and say, okay, so your friend liked my page, you should too. And that's the general idea, right? And so again, very powerful functionality there, but again, across all of those different organic things that you're doing on Facebook already. But again, you can mix and match placement here, right? So you're not beholden to just right side or just newsfeed or just desktop, just mobile. You can actually pick and choose between those options, as you can see in that screenshot, to figure out exactly where you want to target. And so, think about these things. You might end up creating a number of different ad variations of the exact ad copy, the exact ad targeting, but varied by platform, your desktop, and placement. So lots of options. And then there's mobile-only ads. So again, taking desktop completely out of the equation. However, it's a bit modified from what we just talked about. So you can mostly just do sponsored stories. That's what I just explained. Again, you can advertise posts that you push through your page, and again, that's fine. But here you can actually really ramp up if you have an app. And so again, I'll use the Candy Crush example again. So before I took the bait and became heavily addicted to Candy Crush, I would frequently see the sponsored app download ad for Candy Crush come through my feed when I was on my phone, on my tablet. And finally, and I blame my wife for this, I finally caved, downloaded and started playing. So again, those are very powerful. And again, when people are on their phones, they already are in the app mindset, and so it's a good place to capture their attention.
And then one thing that I wanted to mention about mobile-only ads that bums me out, and I guess I can just spread my bummed outness with the world. They don't pass along optional URL tags. So like I said, I'm obsessively direct response. Mobile ads do not pass optional URL tags, so it's hard to see where some of your clicks are coming from. You have to do some workarounds. So that's it. Just wanted to put my little thing in there. That's it.
All right, and then another ad unit, and this one's relatively new, is video ads. But again, I will state very clearly that you can't just create an ad and upload a video and be done with it. Again, this is directly tied to your organic activity on Facebook, so it's reliant on you creating a page post that contains video content first. So you publish that organically, and then you can go back and say, okay, I want to promote then this particular post that has a video on it. But again, if you've got a video that's great, you know that and maybe you've run it on YouTube video ad campaigns and AdWords, and you see that one, people like to watch it. They get more than 50% of the way through the video, which is amazing. And then believe it or not, they actually click through and they take an activity afterwards. So okay, it works well there. It stands to reason that may actually work on Facebook as well. So again, another option, another ad format to experiment and test.
Yeah, and so John, you're talking about all these different ways to put your placements out there, to get your message out there. And so I guess my next point is just going to be about what you should do. You have this opportunity to get in front of people in such an intimate setting, and people don't really like ads on Face, so you have to make an ad that actually works on Facebook. And so this is all, a lot of this stuff we talked about in our social media toolkit that we put out a while back, and I think it's good information. So I just want to talk about the creative that we have within Facebook. And so think about 3 things that you want to do. So it's getting their attention, because people are used to kind of tuning out ads, getting them interested about what you're saying, and then actually trying to get them to do something. Because just interest, like I'm interested in a lot of things. I do not a lot of things. I'm a lazy person. And so you want to have an advertisement that actually gets someone motivated to actually do something. In this case, it's a click, and then get their mental state right to do, after that click, what you want them to do. So you want to have ads that can do that for you. And so again, this all connects back to those personas that John was talking about earlier. And so these questions that you can ask yourself, what your offer is, how does it benefit the user, why do they care, connect that to your persona. So Dana Disneyland, the benefit for her is Disney. So if that's your persona right there, you want to connect that, hammer it home, and just think about who you're advertising to. And then Facebook, ad testing is imperative because they optimize your ads so quickly. AdWords, there's a lot of different settings. You can say optimize indefinitely, 90 days, blah, blah, blah. There's all these reasons. But on Facebook, you can upload ads, and then Facebook in like 30 seconds, it seems like, it'd be like, oh, winner, and then just show the same ad 90% of your impressions. And so a lot of times I find it frustrating, but it's also kind of like a good mechanism to remind yourself, oh, we have to be testing all the time, because Facebook ends our test. They're like a crooked referee. They just end decisions like right away. It's like in a boxing match, if somebody punched somebody first, they're like, oh my God, that's a better boxer. This is great. And then they just call it a day. So you just have to really be on top of things like that. So think about your headlines. They're crucial. And then when you test other stuff, like I'm saying, provoke emotions, show your point of view, and then try to engage that specific demographic. The more specific you can be, the more you can engage with that persona that you're trying to have, can be more effective. And so a lot of times people say humor can work on Facebook. A lot of my experience comes with places where humor isn't really appropriate, which, like non-mobile URL tracking, bums me out because I'm a bit of a ham, as they tell me. And so try to do things that make people stand out, make them want to click your ad. It's kind of like having that Super Bowl. Like think of it like the Super Bowl. The better ads always usually have something that's funny, that's actually funny. And so an attempt at humor may not work. It has to be legitimately, at least a little bit. Like try to get a chortle if you can get somebody. So think about that on Facebook. And then so much of it comes down to the image. And so the picture, as Wikipedia tells us, is worth 1,000 words. And I just like how this whole page is full of words and it's about a picture. So I thought that was funny, and so that's why I did a screen grab of that. But I'm going to take this opportunity to transition to you, John, because I know that you have a lot of experience with images and you have some stuff to say.
Sure. Well, before I talk about what's on the screen, again, with the images, there are a couple of some written, some it seems unwritten policies, editorial policies for images on Facebook. One, you have to be very careful with images of people. So again, if they seem unhappy, the person is frowning or they're crying or they look sad, believe it or not, that ad would be disapproved 9 times out of 10. Be aware. Another one would have to be words in the image, right? And so again, if you have text in an image, even if it's completely irrelevant to your service offering, to your product, again, Facebook's going to kill it. So just a couple of editorial things to keep your mind out for. Otherwise, I mean, there's there have been lots of articles, lots of case studies done on what kinds of images to use. Some quick pointers. Again, your image, if there is a person and their eyes are open and they're looking, they should be looking at your ad, not away from it. And so again, it's kind of the idea of barrier testing on a landing page. The same thing is you want to guide people's eyes to what's important, and in this case, it's your ad. So there's tons of pointers like that to test when you're looking for images. So be mindful. Now, that being said, when you're looking for images, don't just go to Google or Bing and use image search and grab the first thing that looks relevant. That is a recipe for legal issues, right? And so thankfully, within the last couple of months, both Bing and Google now have a type of search where you can look for things that are under the Creative Commons license and are free for you to use. And so again, that's the screenshot I have there from Bing. You can also do that on Flickr. And so the photos people have uploaded, if somebody has chosen to list it as, again, Creative Commons license available for sharing for reuse, you can take it and you can use it as long as you give proper attribution back to the person who took the photo. So again, different options there. But your best bet, honestly, is to use your company's own marketing materials, or even to buy them outright from iStock Photo or Dreamstime. So just, again, be very mindful of where you get your images from.
Yeah, well said, John. And you mentioned legal issues, and just the mention of it is enough to get me scared. So we always use internal marketing images like you recommended, but you presented a lot of different options. So thank you for that. And then just to close up on a couple of different things, the last thing with ad creative is just descriptions. So the headline and the image are imperative to really get that intention, try to keep people there. But in that description, you want to push people further down the funnel. So focus on your benefits, provide incentive, and then also just have some calls to action so people know what they need to do, why they're clicking on your ad to go there. And then test like crazy, like we said. There's so many reasons to keep testing, even if you don't think about how Facebook is kind of a crooked referee. So think about that in your descriptions. And when you have all this different stuff going, you have a lot of different creative, you definitely want to report on it. And so Facebook reporting, I have definitely found bummed me out. I keep saying that. Overall, Facebook's good. We're keeping a happy attitude, positive vibes, yay! There are some limitations, though. So when we're talking about our creative and seeing what's performing, you want to see that, with your reporting. So there's 5 different ones in the old reports, and so Facebook's in the process of rolling out new reports to all their campaigns, and it feels like that rollout's been going on for like 8 weeks or something. It's a very long rollout. I don't know if all of your accounts have it, John. I'm still in kind of the middle ground of the stuff that I'm managing. So I'm used to
I'm only about a third of my accounts are in on it. So again, it's still a slow process, like you said.
It's glacially paced. It's actually probably slower than glaciers. If you think about all the glaciers that are melting today, we're probably going to have fewer glaciers by the time that all the reports are on the new style. But we'll talk about the old ones real quick. Hopefully it'll be going away in your account. But the first one, just advertising performance, and you can see the type of stuff that it brings back. It also brings back actions. And so actions a lot of times are important, but actions I also find as a direct marketer kind of dubious because somebody viewing your photo counts as an action. So definitely beware. And so it shows you your impressions, social impressions, basically people who have liked it. It's whatever, like it is what it is. It's a Facebook report. I retract, it is what it is. I do not like saying that. I apologize to humanity for having said that. The second one is responder demographics, and this breaks your stuff out basically so you can make sure that your personas are on target, or if your targeting isn't as split out, you can take a look at this to see what you need to split out. So you can see how it breaks down gender and age, it breaks down what country they're in, and then a lot of times it just backs up what you're already looking for. Especially if you have a really specific campaign, this might not be useful, but if you don't have a specific campaign, like maybe you're just doing a whole bunch of really precise stuff with lookalike audiences, but it's targeted to a whole lot of different people, you can look at those different age ranges and see how people are actually responding to it. So in this case, you can see the different age groups of female users who this ad is targeting. Everyone's in Indiana, because Indiana is great. I love it. The Hoosier state. Then on top of that, you can see where those impressions are actually going for you. There's also actions by impression time. So when I said earlier that the advertising performance shows actions, this will tell you what an action actually is. It unpacks it for you. So there's page engagements, post likes. It's weird. So on direct response, I always focus on conversions, offsite conversions, but decide what makes the most sense for you, and then this is the report you can use. And so a lot of times when I'm actually optimizing using the old reports, I'll download this report, actions by impression time. I'll download the advertising performance report we talked about first, and then I have to pivot table those two together because I want to get a very specific look at maybe what my cost per lead is. And so this one doesn't do it for me. And the last one's just inline interactions. This one I don't use a whole lot, but this will tell you based on different placements if you're in the news feed how it looks and what's going on. Oh, sorry, that was the news feed one. So do you use inline interactions, John? I can't say that I use it a lot. It's just there.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it is helpful, but again, this is one of those reports when you're a direct marketer. I mean, understand what's happening and move on. But again, if you're somebody who is both your organic social manager as well as the paid social manager, which is actually is more common than otherwise, believe it or not. So again, the organic folks are also doing their paid social. So for those people, they are going to be really interested. So how are my paid activities on Facebook affecting the organic? And so again, it does have its place, just understanding how it affects you and how it affects your performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I guess my my allegiances are showing, and I apologize. I guess I'm all on the paid side, and it's muddling up my brain. But then the last old style of report is just the news feed, and so this shows you how performance is when it's in the news feed, and then it shows you impressions versus clicks, and then you can see how that performance differs from other placements within Facebook. But here's what the new reports look like. Look at all this stuff, guys. Yay! There's a whole lot of different options, and I'm very happy to have the new report. You can even change your attribution window. So you see on the left side here, you can use custom, and then you can change your window selection 1 day to 28 days after viewing. And then you also have the opportunity to just customize stuff like crazy. They have all these different things, and now you can actually put them in one report instead of having to go to 2 different reports to get 2 things of information and then have to pivot table them together. You can actually put it in one report here and then download one report to get your information. It's amazing. I really meant that full screen yay that we had before. What's also helpful is you can see on that left side it has column sets, and so that, John was talking about the different aims people have when they're managing a Facebook page. Personally, I'm a conversion guy, so I like that conversion default, but depending on what you're using this for, you can look at all those different column sets, and it'll default, and it'll pick what it will be, and you can see the little number like 4 next to delivery and spend means that 4 metrics are tabbed off there. And then you can still go in there and change them. So that's just a starting point, and you can customize what you want them to do. So I'll look at cost.
And I'll make a quick shameless plug. On the Clicks blog, one of my employees, her name's Heather. She's amazing. She wrote an article a couple of weeks ago about the new e-reports as well as the Facebook Insights paid data. And so again, lots of interesting comparative data sets between you and other advertisers, you and other Facebook managers, if you will, people who have pages to post, all that. A lot of interesting stat points, but she went through in detail of each of the new reporting features and how people who are strictly on the advertising side of Facebook can use those reports to, again, influence their activities in the future.
Yeah, and that, don't even consider it a shameless plug. That's just information, John. You're just paying it forward, man. That sounds like great information. People should check that stuff out because it's really cool what's going on. And then here's some more of the customization. You can even schedule stuff, so you can come back. And then beware, there's sometimes there are hiccups. Like I've tried saving reports, and it says Facebook cannot do that right now. Whatever the error message is, I don't actually read it. I'm always so bummed I don't even read it. But just keep working. They're getting better. Facebook is trying so much harder, and this new report I think is a great reflection of that. So you can build it, customize it, and then check out that article that John was mentioning. It's going to give you a lot of information about what you should be checking out here. So, John, on to you.
All right, and just FYI, I am actively tweeting the link to that article that I just mentioned if you're following the Think PPC hashtag. All right.
Look at that.
Yes, multitasking. It's amazing. So we are running up against time. So, the last big topic here is Power Editor, and I will power my way through it. So, again, what does Power Editor allow you to do? Well, it's on par with AdWords Editor or Bing Ads Desktop Editor that we use on the PPC side. And so in that, it allows you to manage your campaigns, manage, bids, targeting, all these other things, actually build out your ads, build your campaign structure. So all the things that you would assume you can do. But Facebook's actually upped their game a little bit and actually allow you to manage your pages through Power Editor, publish posts, etc. You can manage your billing. So again, the credit cards and the funding sources for the account, what's active, what's not. You can manage users, so add or remove those that can actually manage your page or manage your ads. So again, a lot of functionality that's built in there. It's great. Even the ad image library, which I find really interesting, is if over time, and some of you probably have found this, is over time, you build ads, you build ads, you build ads, and sometimes you find that there's a certain set of images that just no longer work. What you can do is go into this image ad library and delete them, right? Because again, otherwise they're going to come up as a suggestion every time you build a new ad. So it's just a way of maintaining and cleaning up your management experience. So the basics, right? You have to have Google Chrome. So I'm just going to go out there and say this. If you don't have Google Chrome yet, you should, even if you're not going to download the Power Editor extension. Chrome's amazing. So good plug there. But beyond that, once you've downloaded Google Chrome, you can go to the Chrome store, and Power Editor is an extension that you have to download, but it's free. And so once you do that, you're going to get an instant creepy green smiley face. And once that's done, log in like you would with regular Facebook, but do it through Power Editor. Download your campaigns, and from that point, it's easy peasy, right? So review your stats, make changes, et cetera, and once you're done, upload. So we'll quickly kind of go through kind of the workflow here. So again, you've got two primary tabs, campaigns and ads, right? So we don't have three layers like typical PPC, campaign, ad group, keyword. Here we just have campaign and ad. So that's what we get. So again, click campaign, click create campaign, and from there then give it a name, choose your budget, your scheduling, right? What time of day do you want these campaigns to start, and then from there, really you can use labels too. So again, I don't know how many of you use labels in AdWords. It's a tremendous thing to be able to segment your data by labels. So you can actually do that with Facebook too. So fun little insight there.
Labels are so great, guys. You should use labels. They're so great.
I can't say enough good things about that. So then with ads, again, switch over. You just click the little ads button, create ad. And so all of those things we talked about earlier, right, with the different ad types, here's your drop down. So you can see it in action. And then from there, you go through and all of the audience options that Sean talked through, again, boom, right there at your fingertips. I know he specifically mentioned, right, partner categories. You really can only get to that for Power Editor. But that being said, it's all right there. Click choose what you need to do and move on to the next step. Set your bid, whether you're doing CPC or CPM. Again, I'm very much a CPC guy, but again, if you're into CPM bidding and you're familiar with it, do your thing. And again, I know with CPM bidding, that's how a lot of people are able to get really, really low CPCs on Facebook. So again, there is value to it. Just you have to know what you're doing. So tread lightly. Say that again. But once you've got your bid set, click upload. Boom. That is the basic workflow.
And let me ask you, since you just mentioned bidding, John, have you ever used the optimized CPM bidding? And if so, how do you like it?
I do like it. And so again, that involves again, for your organic side, you can optimize it against actions. So again, all those report things that you talked about. So likes, shares, clicks on your organic content that you're promoting, your sponsor stories, etc. So you can optimize against that. But if you have Facebook's internal conversion tracking setup, you can also optimize against that. And so that's where, for us direct marketers, that's when I start to perk up. And so we can argue later in a different call whether or not Facebook's conversion tracking is 100% accurate. It's accurate enough to give you a baseline of data to optimize against. And so I've actually seen pretty good results from it. But again, proceed with caution. Everything and anything should be tested. And so just plug it in, see what happens, and manage it from there.
Yeah, I agree. Proceed with caution, because I've had some bad experiences. But I'm glad to hear that you're a fan. So that's great to hear. So thank you, John. And that concludes our content portion of it. We're going to finish. We have one more poll. And so Megan is going to put that live shortly. The silent Megan. Have you ever spoken on a webinar, Megan? She has, guys. So if you've tuned into enough Hannafin webinars, you've heard her voice. So we're talking, would you like any help with your accounts and management? So John and I are clearly interested in this stuff, and we love doing it. So let us know if we can talk to you about a solutions blueprint, or Clicks Marketing can talk about an opportunities analysis for you. So social, see what's going on. Maybe we can do some of this Facebook stuff for you guys. So I think it's very interesting. And we do have a lot of questions came in. Megan has put in a full Word doc. And so I don't think we're going to have time for all of them today. But we are going to have time for some of them. So now it's live Q&A time. And so, John, I'm going to put this first one to you, since I struggle with it myself, so I think it's a great question. How many ads should be in a campaign to get ads evenly distributed? What's your recommended number?
So you're never going to get even distribution. So as you mentioned earlier, the way Facebook, optimizes the ads based on all of their determining factors. I mean, click-through rate is definitely a portion of that. But there is no magic number. So, I typically go into any new Facebook campaign at a minimum of 3 ads right off the bat, see what's working. Sometimes I don't even let Facebook make the decision. Sometimes I make the decision to kill 2 of the 3 and move on and try something else altogether different right away. But you're never going to get even distribution, so I feel like that's a bit of a trick question.
But you'd still go with 3 or more, I guess, just to get something out of there.
That's right.
Okay. And I was just curious, how fast do you have to jump in there to beat Facebook to start optimizing those ads? It seems like it couldn't even be done.
Well, again, a couple of high velocity campaigns where it's been sometimes within a couple hours or same day. Yeah, you have to be fast. You have to be watching it, understanding what's happening. So, from a conversion perspective, is that ideal? No, but we're trying to beat the ad decay issues that are inherent to not only Facebook, but LinkedIn and Twitter even now, where they just start optimizing ad rotation based on performance very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's a very pragmatic approach for you, and okay. And so we're going to move on to our next question. And so I don't want to seem impolite, but since you answered the last one, I'll read this one and then start answering myself, and then you can tell me how wrong I am, John, if that works for you.
All right.
So someone asked, what are good ways to test with small adjustments or large differences between ads? And so I think I'm of the opinion, I like really small adjustments, especially since tests are concluded so quickly in Facebook. I'll do something like, maybe someone considers this large, but I'll test the same ad text entirely with the same image. So I try to make it as pure of an A/B test as possible. So it'll be, when you said 3 or more, I'll usually use 4 ads. And if I'll start with images and see what image connects with people, and then move on to headlines and keep the description and the image the same. I like to go one component at a time. How do you handle your ad test, John?
Yeah, I'm very much the same line of thinking of if you test 4 different completely varied ads, with different images, different copy, you're not going to understand why a particular ad failed or why a particular ad succeeded. So I also am of the mind that your testing does need to be systematic so that you can understand, okay, well, it's because of the headline or it's because of the image, it's because of the call to action. That being said, what I'll often do to kind of accelerate the process is almost have like a dual set of testing variables going at the same time. So I've got a couple of ads that are testing just headline or image. I've got another set of ads that are just a completely new idea. Again, is it perfect? Is it ideal? Absolutely not. Because again, we can't control rotation on all those things, but it at least allows me to accelerate the process a bit, understand, okay, well, crazy ad message 1, is it doing okay? Crazy ad message 2 doesn't. And then from there, then go back to, okay, well, between the 2 crazy ad 1 ads, the one with, the call to action in the headline versus call to action in the body is the one that succeeded. So again, be systematic, but don't put yourself in a corner and not test new ideas.
I think that's a great tagline. Be systematic, but don't put yourself in a corner. I think that's great, John. And so we have two questions left, and they'll be really quick because we're actually at 1 p.m., so I apologize. Thanks for spending your lunch break with us, guys, by the way. So the first one I'll give to you, John. Can I download a keyword report in Facebook?
A keyword report?
Yes, I'm guessing for precise interest is my guess.
Yeah, no. Effectively, no. You can see high-level data. So again, the responder demographic, I forget the responder report, we'll just call it that, has some of that information in there, but no, there is no straight up interest and or keyword level report. I wish there was. I actually had a conversation with some of the folks at Acquisio. So again, we use them as a third-party vendor, and they do quite a bit with Facebook. I asked if that was something that was possible, and it's, it's not something that Facebook puts into their API to even tap into. So unfortunately, no.
Yeah, I was bummed. I just wanted to share that with the world. We cannot do that. If it's in the bucket, it's in the bucket, and then you just can see if it's a good bucket or not, basically. And the last question.
Well, the answer to that is segmentation. So it may seem asinine and tedious, or as you put it earlier, brutal, but segment your ad so tightly that your ad report is effectively an interest report as well. So that's the solution. I know that sucks, and it's not the best solution, but it is a solution.
Yeah, it's better to have a solution, even if it's a brutal one. I'll still take that over nothing. And then our last question that we'll take today, and then we have a bunch, so we'll try to get to them later. How do you add the Facebook tracking code to your site? Is it like AdWords? And it exactly is. So just place, you'll generate a pixel, place it on your thank you page or your checkout page, and then you're good to go. And it'll actually show if it's verified. So you don't even need to really do a test conversion. If you place it on that page, and then it'll say if it's verified or not, if someone's visited the page and the code is fired correctly. So that's just a small technical question. I figured we're here, might as well answer it. But John, thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate it. I know that you dropped some knowledge on me, so I'm happy to have listened to it when you were talking. So thank you so much.
And likewise, Sean, been a pleasure, and always learn something new. Anytime I hear anybody else from our wonderful industry talk, everybody is great. Everybody loves to share, so it's always fun to collaborate like this.
Yeah, totally agree. So that was great. Thank you so much, John. Have a great afternoon, everybody.
Bye, everybody.